The Shahed drone, an Iranian-designed unmanned aerial vehicle, has evolved into one of the most strategically significant and frequently deployed weapons in Russia's arsenal throughout its war against Ukraine. Initially acquired through direct purchases from Iran, Russia later mastered the domestic production of these drones, allowing for a massive and sustained campaign of attacks. These low-cost, reusable drones have been instrumental in striking deep into Ukrainian territory, targeting major cities, and systematically dismantling critical national infrastructure, particularly the energy grid. The strategic calculus for Ukraine became even more complex as Russian forces solidified their occupation of roughly 19% of Ukraine's sovereign territory. This territorial control, especially in eastern regions, provided Russia with a formidable tactical advantage: the ability to launch these devastating drone assaults from inside Ukraine's own borders. This significantly shortened the drones' flight time to their targets, complicating Ukrainian air defense efforts and allowing for more frequent and unpredictable attacks. Neutralizing this persistent and evolving threat became an urgent and critical operational priority for the Ukrainian military. In a dramatic and powerful counterstroke, Ukraine appears to have delivered a devastating blow to Russian capabilities, successfully executing a precision strike on a major Russian frontline base deep within occupied territory. This facility served as a crucial logistical hub for storing, arming, and launching hundreds of the very Shahed drones that have terrorized Ukrainian civilians. According to emerging reports from the Kiev Post on November 6, Ukraine's specialized unmanned systems forces, a dedicated branch of the military focused on drone warfare, planned and executed a complex strike on a significant drone storage facility located within the occupied portions of the Donetsk Oblast. The Donetsk region has consistently been the epicenter of the most intense, brutal, and grinding combat of the entire war. Russian forces, after a slow and bloody offensive that has consumed countless lives and vast quantities of material since the initial invasion in 2022, now control approximately 75% of this eastern Ukrainian region. President Vladimir Putin has long declared the complete capture of the entire Donetsk Oblast a primary strategic objective, and the substantial territory his forces currently occupy is being leveraged as a formidable platform from which to launch attacks deeper into Ukraine's heartland, consequently degrading and destroying the military assets Russia has prepositioned within this occupied territory. Particularly the stockpiles of Shahed drones became a critical and time-sensitive objective for Ukrainian forces. The successful strike on the night of November 5th represents a major tactical and symbolic victory in achieving that complex goal. Among the first official sources to confirm the operation's success was the commander of Ukraine's unmanned systems forces, the highly respected Colonel Madyar Brovdi, a figure renowned for his expertise and innovative approach to drone warfare. He took to the Telegram messaging app, a key platform for wartime communication, to provide initial details and context for the operation. In his post, he emphasized the intricate planning and intelligence work that preceded the strike. He revealed that developing this specific, high-value target required painstaking and meticulous work conducted over several months, with crucial intelligence being slowly assembled from numerous small, disparate pieces of information. He confirmed that the planned strike was ultimately executed with devastating effect on the night of November 5th, using what he described as the appropriate strike assets of Ukraine's elite Special Operations Forces SSO and its missile and artillery units. The Kiev Post further elaborated on Brovdi's claims, reporting that the targeted base was specifically used for the triple functions of storing, equipping with munitions, and launching Shahed one-way attack drones. In a triumphant and definitive declaration, Brovdi added that, thanks to the precision and power of the Ukrainian strike, the base as a functional entity effectively no longer exists. To substantiate his bold claim, Brovdi shared a dramatic and compelling 17-second video clip alongside his Telegram post. The footage, presumably captured by a surveillance drone or other means, shows a colossal explosion, a massive fireball that violently illuminates the night sky, followed by a deep, thunderous crash that suggests the use of powerful, high-yield munitions, potentially something beyond just smaller tactical drones. As immense, rolling plumes of fire and dense black smoke billow high into the air, the sheer scale of the detonation makes it visually and audibly clear that Ukrainian forces hit a target containing a very significant quantity of explosive or highly flammable material. While Brovdi authoritatively identified the site as a Shahed drone storage facility, the Kyiv Post responsibly noted in its reporting that it had not, at that time, been able to independently verify the exact authenticity or location of the footage. However, the sheer, undeniable magnitude of the explosion visible in the video provides compelling, if preliminary, visual evidence of a major impact on a high-value target, the kind of secondary explosion typically associated with a munitions depot. Further, intriguing details on the mechanics and composition of the attack soon emerged from other sources, including another Telegram channel known as Spy Dossier, which often provides insights into Ukrainian military operations. This source claimed that Ukraine utilized a sophisticated combined arms approach for this deep strike, employing a mix of both long-range suicide drones and potentially ground-launched or air-launched cruise missiles to overwhelm defenses and ensure the target's destruction. The source, however, did not specify the exact types of weapons used in the coordinated assault. Military analysts, observing the massive secondary explosions and the sheer destructive power evident in Brovdi's video, have since speculated that Ukraine's new, domestically developed FB-2 drone may have played a key role. This specific drone has been engineered with the explicit purpose of enabling Ukraine to strike heavily defended Russian positions far behind the front lines, deep in what was once considered secure rear area. It is reputed to carry a substantial 230-pound, approximately 105-kilogram warhead, making it capable of delivering a devastating bunker-busting blow to hardened targets or causing catastrophic chain reactions in storage facilities. Ukraine has reportedly conducted several successful attacks using this new drone system in recent weeks, signaling a growing capability for long-range precision strikes. The Ukrainian defense news outlet Militarny offered additional context and performance metrics for the attack, though it also refrained from identifying the specific models of drones and missiles deployed. It reported that the Ukrainian drones involved in this complex operation managed to achieve a remarkably high strike success rate of approximately 90%. This statistic serves as damning evidence for the state of Russian air defenses, strongly suggesting they are either completely absent at some of the most crucial logistical facilities or are fundamentally incapable of detecting, tracking, and countering the new generation of low-altitude, low-radar, signature deep strike weapons Ukraine is now deploying with increasing frequency. Ukraine's military intelligence apparatus clearly identified a critical vulnerability in Russia's Shahed storage and logistics chain within occupied Donetsk and executed a well-planned and flawlessly timed operation to take full and decisive advantage of that weakness on the night leading into November 6th. The scale of the material loss for Russia appears to be nothing short of staggering. In its detailed reporting on the Ukrainian strike, United 24 Media, a platform founded by President Zelensky, claimed that the destroyed drone storage facility was home to a staggering inventory of approximately 1,000 Shahed drones, or as the Russians designate their domestically produced version, Madyar 2 drones. Furthermore, The facility was reportedly storing an additional 500 individual warheads, which were presumably intended to be fitted onto these drones before their launches against Ukrainian civilian, industrial, and military targets. The sheer volume of this inventory is highly significant from a strategic perspective, as it strongly suggests Russia was in the advanced, final stages of preparing for a massive, sustained, and likely decisive aerial assault campaign targeting Ukrainian urban centers and energy infrastructure within the operational range of Shahed launched from Donetsk. With this central facility now destroyed, those planned waves of strikes simply cannot be executed, potentially buying Ukrainian cities and their residents a critical and precious period of respite during the approaching winter. It may take Russia weeks, if not longer, to reconstitute such a large stockpile of drones and painstakingly transport them into the Donetsk region, giving Ukraine vital time to bolster its air defenses and repair previous damage to its infrastructure. The physical destruction of the base and its contents also represents a severe and tangible financial blow to the Russian war effort, which has sought to use cost-effective weapons to exhaust Ukraine's more expensive air defense missiles. The Express, in its coverage of the strike, estimated the combined cost of the destroyed Shaheds and their associated warheads to be approximately $60 million, which is roughly equivalent to $78 million USD. To provide a clearer context for these figures, the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, a prominent Washington-based think tank, published an analysis of the cost-effectiveness of Russian Shahed assaults. In their report, CSIS estimated that a Russian-made Shahed drone costs about $35 USD to produce. Russia has leveraged this relatively low cost to launch a truly massive number of these drones. CSIS reported that between September 2022 and December 2024, Russia launched over 14,700 Shaheds at Ukraine. The logic for Russia is grimly straightforward. Even with a relatively low success rate of less than 10%, the drones have proven to be a cost-effective tool of terror, infrastructure degradation, and economic exhaustion for Moscow. However, this entire cost-effectiveness calculation is entirely contingent upon the drones actually making it into the air and forcing Ukraine to expend resources. By destroying an estimated 1,000 Shaheds at a conservative unit cost of $35 Ukraine inflicted a direct loss of $35 million on Russia in drones alone. If the Express's total figure is to be considered accurate, it would imply an extraordinarily high cost for the 500 warheads, which seems inconsistent with the simple, often improvised munitions typically fitted to these drones. Other estimates, such as those from Defense Express in August, suggest a higher production cost of around $70 per Russian Shahed, which would double the loss for the drones alone to $70 million. Even disregarding the higher-end estimates and focusing on the more conservative figures, a direct loss of tens of millions of dollars in a single strike, not including the substantial ancillary costs of transportation, storage, security, and base construction, represents a significant financial sting for Russia and a superb return on investment for Ukraine's military. It is, however, crucial to include an important caveat regarding the reported numbers. The figures of 1,000 drones and 1,500 warheads represent the total inventory that intelligence sources believe to be stored at the base at the time of the strike, not necessarily a confirmed and audited number of items that were 100% destroyed. Yet, multiple pieces of evidence suggest the damage was indeed catastrophic and likely total. In an official Facebook post following the attack, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported that According to its objective control data, multiple large explosions and a particularly powerful secondary detonation were recorded at the site. This technical reporting aligns perfectly with the known characteristics of a facility storing volatile propellants, explosives, and warheads. A successful initial strike on one part of the depot would very likely trigger an uncontrollable chain reaction of secondary explosions, potentially leading to the complete annihilation of the entire stockpile. A more detailed, satellite-based battle damage assessment may be forthcoming from open-source intelligence groups, but the initial indicators from both visual evidence and official Ukrainian sources point overwhelmingly to a highly successful and devastatingly effective mission. Adding further weight and official confirmation, Ukraine's Special Operations Forces SSO also released their own detailed statement on the strike. They confirmed that on the evening of November 5th, their specialized units played a key role in carrying out a precise strike on a base used for the integrated processes of storing, equipping, and launching Shahed drones in temporarily occupied Donetsk. Crucially, the SSO specification provided a key geographical detail. The enemy's military infrastructure was located on the grounds of the former Donetsk International Airport. This repeated mention of the airport location highlights a known and widely documented Russian military strategy of converting captured Ukrainian civilian infrastructure into ad hoc military bases and logistical centers. As the Kyiv Independent had reported in a comprehensive analysis back in August, Russia is actively turning vast swaths of occupied Ukrainian territory into extensive military hubs to support its prolonged war effort. Commercial airports, even derelict and heavily damaged ones like the Donetsk International Airport, which had been largely out of service since the initial fighting in 2014, are prime real estate for repurposing due to their existing hangars, long runways, taxiways, and large administrative storage buildings that can be quickly, if crudely, adapted for military use. According to analysis from Vadim H. Leshko, the founder of the prominent Ukrainian open-source intelligence project Kyberbarashno, the infrastructure Russia established at the former airport was far from robust or permanently fortified. He described it dismissively as ramshackle infrastructure, essentially garages for storing and launching kamikaze drones of the Shahed type. He also noted that, in addition to the main launch installations, the Russians had set up decoy positions and false locations in a likely attempt to mislead Ukrainian targeting and saturate intelligence reports with false information. The use of the term ramshackle strongly suggests the base may have consisted of hastily erected, lightly constructed, and poorly defended temporary structures, which would have been highly vulnerable to a determined and accurate strike. For Ukraine, however, the quality of the buildings is ultimately secondary. The primary achievement is the loss of the strategic assets stored within them. The destruction of up to 1,000 drones and their warheads represents a severe degradation of Russia's immediate offensive potential in the sector. Ukraine's successful strike on the Shahed storage facility was not an isolated event, but part of a coordinated series of deep strikes carried out over a critical 48-hour period, demonstrating a strategic shift to simultaneous multi-domain attacks. On the very next day, November 6th, Ukraine complemented its destruction of Russian drone stocks with another powerful attack on Russia's strategic energy infrastructure, this time targeting the massive Volgograd oil refinery. According to reports from the Kyiv Independent, multiple explosions rocked the refinery site, causing several large fires that took hours to contain. The Volgograd refinery is undeniably one of Russia's largest and most important, with an annual refining capacity of 15.7 million tons of crude oil, accounting for about 5.6% of Russia's total refining output. This strike is a single data point in a sustained and highly effective Ukrainian campaign, that has severely damaged Russia's domestic fuel production capabilities over the past several months. By early October, some Western analysts and outlets were reporting that the cumulative effect of Ukrainian drone strikes had knocked out an estimated 38% of Russia's total refining capacity. While this specific figure may be a high-end estimate, as refineries can sometimes partially restore operations, the cumulative impact is undeniable and severe. The Jamestown Foundation, a U.S.-based research institute, reported that Russia's domestic gasoline production fell by almost 25% in the month of September alone, leading to tangible shortages, significant price hikes, and the introduction of rationing at fuel stations in many Russian regions. These strikes have a direct two-pronged impact. They impair the Russian military's ability to reliably fuel its tanks, armored vehicles, aircraft, and logistics trucks, while also imposing substantial economic costs on the Russian state through lost export revenue and increased domestic fuel subsidies. The November 5th strike in Donetsk was particularly vital and timely, given the dramatic and alarming escalation in the scale and intensity of Russia's use of Shahed drones throughout the entirety of 2025. According to a sobering analysis from Sky News published on November 4th, just one day before the Ukrainian strike, the number of Shaheds and other similar drones that Russia had launched at Ukraine in just the first 10 months of 2025 was a staggering 303% higher than the total number it launched during the entire previous calendar year of 2024. This astronomical increase translates to a figure of approximately 44,000 drones launched by the end of October 2025, representing an overwhelming effort to saturate and exhaust Ukrainian air defenses. Furthermore, these drones are not only more numerous, but are also becoming technically more capable and deadly. The Kyiv Independent had reported back in May that newer Shahed models being supplied to Russia are capable of achieving speeds between 380 and 400 kilometers per hour, and are increasingly being equipped with larger, more powerful 90-kilogram 198-pound warheads, making them faster, harder to intercept, and significantly more destructive upon impact. The situation had become so dire and pervasive that President Volodymyr Zelensky himself publicly commented on the heightened and evolving threat. In a stark warning, he stated that in some tactical scenarios, the modernized Shaheds have become more dangerous than ballistic missiles. He explained the painful logic behind this statement. While Ukraine can, with high probability, intercept individual ballistic missiles using advanced systems like Patriot batteries, the sheer number, low altitude, and small radar cross-section of the Shahed swarms require the use of every available asset across the entire military, including expensive interceptor missiles, manned fighter jets like the F-16, attack helicopters, mobile air defense guns, and even dedicated interceptor drones, to counter them, often at a disproportionate cost. The primary strategic motive for Russia's intensified drone campaign, as observed in previous winter periods, is to systematically destroy Ukraine's electricity generation and transmission infrastructure, aiming to plunge millions of Ukrainian civilians into darkness, cold, and isolation during the harsh winter months as a deliberate and cruel tactic of terror and demoralization. The vast stockpile of 1,000 drones discovered and destroyed in Donetsk was almost certainly intended to be a key component of this brutal winter assault plan, making its timely destruction one of the most critical Ukrainian defensive successes of the season. It is also essential to understand that Ukraine's brilliantly executed strike on the Donetsk storage facility is not a one-off operation, but a key part of a broader, multi-month strategic campaign designed to degrade Russia's drone capabilities at their source, striking production, storage, and transportation links. Since at least July of this year, Ukraine has been systematically and courageously targeting the entire Shahed supply chain deep inside Russian territory. To illustrate this sustained campaign, on July 1st, Ukrainian drones destroyed several key workshops at the Kupol electromechanical plant in the city of Izhevsk, a facility known to be involved in the production of these drones. Merely 3 days later, on July 4th, another plant located in the Moscow region itself, specifically involved in building Shahed drones, was successfully hit and damaged. In August, the campaign continued with a strike on a strategic storage facility in the Republic of Tatarstan, a crucial hub providing critical electronic components for the drones. Then on August 15th, in a highly creative operation, a Ukrainian maritime drone struck and sank an Iranian cargo ship, the Syria, at the Alia seaport, which was caught in the act of unloading a shipment of vital drone parts destined for Russian production lines. The recent destruction of the forward operating base in Donetsk is therefore a logical and devastating extension of this comprehensive campaign, moving from production sites and component suppliers to the final, forward, deployed operational storage bases from which the immediate threat is launched. The powerful message Ukraine delivered to the Russian command structure on November 5th is unambiguous and clear. No facility, warehouse, or airfield storing the weapons used to terrorize and kill Ukrainian civilians is safe, regardless of its location, even those situated deep in occupied Ukrainian territory. While the Ukrainian military and political leadership is under no illusion that this single, albeit spectacular, strike will completely eliminate the Shahed threat forever, it undeniably demonstrates a growing and sophisticated capability to project power, conduct deep reconnaissance, and execute precise strikes on high-value targets far behind the active front lines. This successful operation, when combined with the ongoing, strategically crippling campaign against Russia's oil refineries and the emerging strikes on electrical infrastructure inside Russia itself, shows that Ukraine is steadily and determinedly feeding the Kremlin a powerful and bitter dose of its own medicine. Ukraine is no longer solely focused on a defensive posture. It is actively seeking to cripple the logistical, industrial, and economic backbone that sustains and finances Putin's war of aggression, proving that the capacity to inflict long-range pain is no longer a Russian monopoly.